A lot of the matches at WWE SummerSlam are highly anticipated. We are going to go through all of the matches that we know about so far, and we're going to grade and rank their feuds. How has the build been for each one of these matches going into SummerSlam? And let's start off with Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. This one hasn't had a lot of direct build. It's kind of indirect because it's been all about Gunther winning King of the Ring, and you have Damian Priest kind of overcoming the odds every single PLE from the time that he won using the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, and having all of these matches that honestly, every time Priest has been out there, he has been improving for me, and I've been enjoying his matches, and I don't know if he's going to lose or not. But for the feud itself, it's kind of not there. It's starting to heat up now. You have Gunther and you have Priest each week now jockeying at each other. You got Priest trying to smack Gunther around, but there isn't a whole lot of build there just based on the nature of the match. And it's not a blood feud, and it's nothing really personal. They're trying to do it now. I gotta give it like a B for the build. This is just for the build itself. The match is going to be fantastic. Like, Gunther's going to chop all day long. Gotta give it a B. WWE Women's Championship match, Bayley going up against Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. And you got folks like Tiffany Stratton kind of looming around with Money in the Bank. How has the build been for this? Now, we've seen like the split screen where you have Bayley and Nia Jax jockeying back and forth. That was a little awkward, and I think it's just kind of the nature of how they do those split screen things where they're trying to react to each other, and they're trying to play up like the 2017 Bayley and Nia taking her out with injury, and that she's reckless in the ring, that Nia is reckless in the ring. And they've been playing that as kind of the main card here, is that Nia Jax is not safe in the ring, and Nia is just saying, I'm just going to destroy you. And then once again, you have Tiffany Stratton in there teasing the cash-ins from time to time. It's been a cool dynamic of Tiffany, Nia, Bayley. I mean, you've had times where you got Naomi in there. Mia Yim is also playing a role in all of this. It hasn't been like SummerSlam kind of intensity. I think they're still trying to get to that spot with it. I don't think that the split promo really added all that much, but they are doing things where Bayley is, getting knocked down by Nia. They are trying to build Nia as a big dominant force. And I do like that they have the mystery of the cash in, and whether Tiffany Stratton is going to kind of turn on Nia Jax or go around her and try to sneak in a cash in attempt. So there are a lot of elements at play here, but I just haven't loved how this feud has gone. They've done a little bit better here though, because compared to the men's side, because with Queen of the Ring, Nia has been kind of on a roll going for the title, getting there. And then we're waiting to see when this is all going to play out. And with her winning Queen of the Ring, it's had a steady build. Like ever since the draft, you kind of had Nia pegged to go after the women's championship. I'm gonna give it like a B+. I've been fine with it. It's been pretty good. I think it's just a notch above what Gunther and Priest have been doing in terms of their build. Now, what could possibly, even main event SummerSlam, we got Liv Morgan, the World Heavyweight Champion, going up against Rhea Ripley, who just returned from injury, and you have the entire dynamic of Dominic Mysterio, Dominic on Raw, apparently, seemingly siding with Rhea, obviously, getting licked, getting smooched, all of that good stuff. Liv turning around, showing off her butt cheeks. There's a lot happening in here, a lot of elements, and this has been like the main A story of Raw. Judgment Day has been the main story for several months, and is finally going to culminate at SummerSlam with this big moment and the curiosity of, is Dom going to turn on Rhea? Is he actually going to side with Liv? Is the Judgment Day going to finally break off and, separate, where you got Damian Priest and Rhea, and you got Finn? Maybe Finn is going to run Judgment Day and like a 2.0 or 3.0 version of it, and Liv coming into Judgment Day. There's a lot of factors here, and I love how the dynamics, the personalities, the relationships have all intertwined. They've overlapped each other a lot. Rhea coming back, it feels like we're still waiting to see what really is going to happen here. I don't see Rhea winning the championship, but for the build and how the story is culminated, I think they've done an excellent job, because you had Rhea be injured, you inserted Liv Morgan, she won the world title off Becky, and you have constantly built this story for months, just trying to get to SummerSlam of Liv versus Rhea, what would happen when Rhea returns. And we're getting kind of like what the next chapter is going to be. And I don't think that SummerSlam is going to end this thing. I think they're going to go all the way to WrestleMania with it. I have loved this story. I'm going to give it an A. Next is going to be And I don't know how I really want to grade this thing, but the Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa one-on-one. I say I don't know how to grade this thing for the feud. So it's been the main story. It is the big story on SmackDown. It kind of sometimes feel like it's the only story on SmackDown, but they have done a great job where you've introduced and integrated all of the Bloodline, obviously, but Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Paul Heyman getting taken out by the Bloodline. I'm trying to think of like this whole thing. Like Solo versus Cody is not a big SummerSlam match for me, but it's the feud, and I gotta look at like the whole picture here because a lot of elements and a lot of things have happened where you have the formulation of the Bloodline, you have Jacob Fatu getting entered in there and being brought in, all this stuff leading to all these pieces to get to SummerSlam. You have Paul Heyman getting taken out by the Bloodline, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, you've had the Money in the Bank match, you've had a lot happen here, and we're all kind of waiting to see if Roman's going to return. But for the build, there's just elements where I'm like, I felt like on SmackDown, this feud has been a lot of rinse and repeat in terms of the moments where you have Cody come out, Bloodline is there, Solo says he is Tribal Chief, and then beatdown happens, and there we go. And I get it, some weeks they are going to spin their wheels a little bit to get to this match, but there have been so many story beats as we have gone through this week after week after week. It's been the big story coming out of WrestleMania for Cody, and for Solo, building him up to be, pronounced as Tribal Chief. You're wondering if Final Boss is in there, Roman Reigns, like we mentioned. There are so many elements here. Paul Heyman's interactions with them, not calling him the Tribal Chief was a huge moment. I like the fact that the Bloodline won at Money in the Bank. I didn't love the match in that, but I did like the build, and I like that you have Randy Orton taken out, you've had Kevin Owens taken out. I think it adds more intrigue into it to kind of get you to SummerSlam, because then we can review it and see what the heck's gonna happen. The build has been solid. I've actually found more interesting watching like the Rhea Liv story a little bit more, all of Judgment Day, because when I look at their two kind of big stories, the big faction stories with multiple things going on, I don't know, I've enjoyed the story on Raw a little bit more. I'm gonna give the Cody story, the Solo thing, a A-. It's great, and I'm trying to look at the whole thing and the whole roadmap here of where we have gotten all the way to SummerSlam. There's a lot of twists and turns that have happened. I think it's more of what's going to be next is what people are waiting for. United States Championship match. You got LA Knight, going up against the champion, Logan Paul. Logan Paul does not defend the title very much. Now, we've had a couple interactions. We've had the promos back and forth. We've had the moments earlier on where you have LA Knight in the pool at Logan Paul's house, chirping him, just whizzing in the pool, things like that. That's all been fun, but this hasn't had the depth. They've been trying to build this every week without Logan Paul being there all the time, where you have LA Knight going to see Nick Aldis, trying to get contracts signed, and then they have the kind of one promo. It's been fine. I wish that they were doing more segments like the pool and the outside of the arena stuff, because I thought that was really, really fun and entertaining. And I think that because you're not having these two fight, you were just having them do promos with each other, it's a little thin. And I like LA Knight, and I actually think Logan Paul is pretty good as a heel, but I think it is time to get that United States Championship off of Logan Paul. But the build itself, it's been fine, because again, you had like LA Knight going into Money in the Bank and he didn't win, so then he turns and he's going for the United States Championship. Makes sense, but I would have liked to see more interactions and again more outside vignettes and promos and things like that versus just the standard stuff of just like, you're not a good wrestler or you're not entertaining and I'm more entertaining, let's have a match. So it's been kind of a little bit basic on that side. I'm gonna give it a B-. Intercontinental Championship match, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, the rematch for Money in the Bank. Now the Money in the Bank match, I was at Money in the Bank and I didn't think that this match was all that great. Being there live, it was kind of one of the lower points, and that could be the crowd. It could be that you get tired from watching ladder matches and then you have a one-on-one match in there. It just kind of felt like a standard wrestling match that you could have had main event Raw. Now, I will say, right now, the last like 2 weeks, I've liked the combinations of, Ilya being out there, like the spear Ilya took on Raw from Braun Breaker. Ouch. And the end of that match. Braun is still getting heated up. He is still a force to be reckoned with. I find that they are it's like we're waiting for Sami to lose the title, Braun to get it, and Sami and Jay to go do tag team stuff and bloodline stuff later on down the road. I haven't loved this feud with Sami and Braun. At first, yes, but it's over time, especially post Money in the Bank. Now I feel like, well, why did Braun just lose clean to one haluva kick? And he didn't get heated up at all. Like, there was no beatdown after Money in the Bank. There was no DQ finish. He didn't destroy Sami Zayn like he probably should have. He just lost. He lost by one haluva kick, and they've been trying to build him as this big, unbeatable monster guy. And I feel like he's had like way more kick-ass matches and moments with Ilya. So with Sami and Braun, it's been good, but it hasn't been great. I'm gonna give it a C+. I haven't really loved the whole thing. Money in the Bank, again, I think it just kind of flattened things, and then they're trying to do it again now at SummerSlam. I mean, you could have made it a triple threat, and maybe they will, but Ilya and Sami and Braun. But I think Braun needs to get that Intercontinental Championship. But yeah, C+. Now, as of right now, we don't have any word on whether Judgment Day is going to defend the tag titles, the Women's Tag Team Championships. You got DIY with those SmackDown tag titles. Those matches could happen. If I was going to do DIY going up against A-Town Down Under, for example, if that was going to be a tag team title match at SummerSlam, the builds are kind of like C level. There's the TV feuds. The women's tag team titles, like they were not, Alba and Isla were not on TV since they won at Clash at the Castle. So I don't even know what they're doing with those things. So that's a big old D over there. And then Judgment Day with the tag team titles. Are they going to do something with those? Like, are they going to have a feud with anybody? I don't know, but I don't see it going anywhere being on SummerSlam's card. And Triple H likes to have tight cards. He doesn't like to overdo it. The one match that I'm very excited for that has been building for like a year. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with the newly announced special guest referee Seth frickin' Rollins. This to me is an A+. A to A+. I've loved this story mostly because you have been trying to work with an injured CM Punk and at times injured Drew McIntyre to tell this entire story. You got this thing to be like the main hot story, or one of the main hot stories on Raw, with a guy who's been injured since the Royal Rumble. And they've been able to keep this thing relevant and hot and create cool, fun moments. At some points, yeah, it's been a little bit of just, why is Drew this stupid about, Punk and not expecting Punk to interfere and mess with him, like at Money in the Bank? He should have known that stuff in the storyline. But I think that week over week, month to month, there's been really fun moments. Drew destroying Punk on SmackDown was really cool. I thought Clash of the Castle with Punk sliding in as referee was a really fun moment. You had Money in the Bank where Punk comes out and screws Drew again. And I mean, going back to WrestleMania 40 with Drew winning the title and Punk getting involved there on commentary, there's been a lot. The character work of Drew McIntyre has also been next level for me. Since going back before the feud with Punk, really, when he was feuding with Seth directly, that's when Drew's character really started to light up. And then CM Punk got injured, and then you started everything up with Drew, and then it really kicked up a notch. And I really love Drew McIntyre's character work. The promos back and forth between him and Punk, week over week, has been great, and you're just waiting to see this match. I think adding Seth Rollins in there as special guest referee is the smart move to make, not only for what the feud needs, it doesn't overshadow it too much, but it makes sense because of Seth's relationship and feuds between Punk and Drew separately and together and all of that. It makes sense to put Seth in that role. So it doesn't feel shoehorned at all. It all kind of flows. It all makes sense. And then you've got way more matches to work with in combinations after SummerSlam, where the story is just going to continue in some form or fashion. Love this story. A+ for me. How would you rate all of the feuds that we know so far going into SummerSlam? And if you guys want to talk more WWE, click right here, subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. See ya.